Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Badr, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
We started out like wanting to be the quote-unquote young Avengers, but by the end, it's like we got our own costumes, we got our own identities, we got our own characterization, we know who we are. We're not those older guys. Like, we're not those dudes. And that's something else, like getting comfortable in your own skin.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Shortbox Podcast, Season 6.
Shortbox Podcast was recorded before a live internet audience.
Your boy Sandman. Some news and casting came out this week. They got the casting for Sandman. Have you taken a look at it? Have you seen it?
Yeah, it looks amazing. I was already excited.
Whoever's playing Kane looks just like Kane.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah,
this guy looks close. Get him.
For some reason, I thought we had discussed the casting already, but I think we were talking about the audiobook.
Yeah.
I guess season 1 already came out, and they announced season 2 and 3 alongside the Netflix announcement. Has anyone listened to the first volume or the first audiobook for Sandman?
Not me.
I haven't.
Yeah, okay, those fans. Interesting.
Oh no, we read the comic book, Badr, which actually has more weight.
I read the comic.
Sorry.
I read the comic as well.
I'm sorry.
I'm in the club
Just
too.
read the
You guys
comic.
want to see my Sandman card? Right here. Right here.
Read it.
Right
It's
here.
like, hey,
right
you guys
here.
ever heard of
Cool.
the Sandman?
You guys know about the Sandman?
Sandman?
So let me go through the casting real quick. So we got Tim
Noel Gorman? You remember him?
We got Tom Sturridge is playing Dream, Lord of the Dreaming. Gwendolyn Christie is playing Lucifer. Vivian? I cannot. Wow. Vivian. What's that?
Wow.
Good luck with that fucking last name.
No, hold on. I got it.
A champong.
I almost had it. I was going to say exactly that. She's playing Lucine. Boyd Hallberg is playing the Corinthian. Charles Dance is Roderick Burgess. And then Asim Chaudhry is playing Abel.
Abel. Looks like Abel.
Do you feel pretty strong about this casting?
Charles Dance and Gwendolyn Christie from
Gwendolyn
Game
Christie.
of Thrones.
Yeah, hell yeah. Brienne of
Freaking
Tarth.
excited.
And Neil Gaiman is working with David S. Goyer from Game of Thrones fame, and Alan Heinberg, who is the writer of our main topic for today's
I see
show.
what you're doing.
Nice little
Okay.
segue.
In all honesty, I didn't know that until this morning, and I was like,
God damn it, Badr. You could have had some cred. You could have lied to them.
Nobody
bro.
knew.
I can't lie to our fans.
Oh, geez.
I just can't find it in me.
You do it every time you say we're fucking an amazing podcast.
All right. You guys ready to get started and reintroduce ourselves? Yo, Shortbox Nation. Welcome to episode 312. Returning listeners, welcome back. And new friends and first-timers, we're happy to have you. I hope you're ready to hear us deep dive into some comic books this week. Today's show will specifically spotlight the 2006 Glad Media and Harvey Award-winning comic series Young Avengers.
Wow.
It was created by Alan Heinberg and Jim Chung, Why this comic, you may ask? Because if you've been keeping up with the WandaVision series, you'll probably recall that Wanda gives birth to a set of twin boys at the end of episode 3.
Spoilers.
In the comics, thank you, Sam. In the comics, those same boys grow up to be Wiccan and Speed, 2 characters that originally made their debut in this comic series. But that's not all we'll be talking about today. We'll announce the winner of our Artist Spotlight poll and talk about some new comics in our No Comic Shop for Old Men segment later in this episode. But first, allow me to introduce my panel of talented, sarcastic, and lively co-hosts here with me in the Shortbox studio today. Starting with my right-hand man, a voice you may recognize if you heard our Stan Lee-centric interview from last week. It's Cesar Cordero.
Excelsior.
Ooh. Next up on the mic is the art-producing robot, the Edbot 5000. Mr. Edmund Danzar is in the building.
Yo.
And last but not least, closing out our panel today, is Shortbox fan favorite, Miss Ashley Hollywood Laney Hoy is in the house.
Hollywood.
Now, I Hollywood. Well, so the only reason I gave you that nickname because I saw your post about Kevin Rankin. Like, yo, congrats.
Thank you. I freaking love that guy.
Can you give the listeners some background into your connection, your new celebrity friend? Your new celebrity friend, Kevin Rankin.
I did a painting of him from season 2 of Umbrella Academy, and somebody on Instagram hit me up and was like, hey, can I buy this? And I was like, sure. So sent it off to Texas and then just randomly got this picture of him holding the painting. And I still don't know how, why, like, what happens.
So someone may have bought it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe like an agent or a rep or something.
I don't know. I have no
Or maybe
idea.
he used someone else to buy it for him. That'd be cool.
I think so.
Yeah, I would have done a better job if I only knew.
You're like, I mean, I put like a B+ effort into this one, but had I known.
Every time you do a piece, you got to assume that the person you're painting is going to buy it.
Yeah.
If it's a living person.
And you got a picture of Kevin Rankin holding the print too, right?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Has anything similar like this ever happened to you before?
I did a painting for Billy Joel a few years ago, but it was
what?
Yeah.
Mr. Piano Man?
I should not be surprised anymore, but here I am.
Christy Brinkley bought it and burned it.
But I knew it was for him. Like, it was a gift from FSCJ to him.
Okay.
So I have a picture of him holding it, which is,
Cool.
That's pretty cool. But like the Kevin Rankin, I was just like laying in bed scrolling through Instagram and I just got this message and it was this picture.
Did they tag you?
No, the guy just like DM'd me like a picture of it,
okay.
and I asked like 18 questions, and then
That's
he
awesome.
didn't answer any of them, but
Nice.
it was still pretty
I
cool.
bought the painting, lady. Jeez.
Yeah, he's like, leave me alone.
Yeah, he blocked you, and that was it. He was like, "This is the one favor I
This
owe
is what
you."
I get
Yeah.
for.
Nah, that's legit. I just wanted to highlight. That's a pretty cool
I
occurrence.
totally missed
actually.
that.
So that makes like what? That makes him celebrity number
300.
Thank you, 300.
Yeah.
That you know. Congratulations, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So before we get into the main event, there's a group of awesome supporters who play a major role in helping us keep the lights on that I'd like to acknowledge first. Starting with the comic shop and a proud sponsor of this year's show, Gotham City Limit, Jacksonville's premier place for comics, toys, collectibles, and more. If you live in the area or ever find yourself passing through Jack's, stop by the shop on Southside Boulevard and tell them the Shortbox sent you. Lastly, the show is made possible in part by donations from our Patreon subscribers. Their contributions help us maintain and improve the show by helping us cover the cost of equipment, podcast bills, and other expenses. Look, it's not cheap or quick to keep this podcast going, so if you're interested in contributing $1 or $2 to help out, you'll earn our eternal gratitude and some awesome rewards like premium access to bonus episodes, merch, and early access to our weekly shows. Click the link in this episode's description or visit patreon.com to become a Patreon subscriber. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the Young Avengers comic series, you can find all of them pretty easily available, whether that be physical copies in comic shops, online retailers, and of course the Marvel Unlimited app has all of the issues available to read. Consider this your official spoiler warning going forward, because we'll be talking about important plot points. So if you don't want it ruined for you, either pause and come back or skip to one of the other timestamps in this episode. My man C,
Yes.
can you help introduce our listeners and new friends to this comic and tell them a few things they might want to know?
Sure. So, The Young Avengers is a comic book that was published by, guess, Marvel Comics. Now, it's written by Alan Heinberg. Now, this guy wrote on shows like Gilmore Girls, Sex and the City, The OC, and among his more recent projects, he wrote Patty Jenkins' first Wonder Woman film. So, he's no slouch. And speaking of no slouch, Jim Chung does the art He's well known for his work on Scion and Avengers Children's Crusade. John Dell and Justin Ponzer on inks and colors, respectfully. This first issue debuted in April of 2005, and I remember because I was working at a video store at the time as a clerk, and one of my buddies tried to get me hooked onto this thing. It was right, like, following the events of Avengers Disassembled, and I kind of wasn't really into comics. And, you know, he was like, dude, you got to get on this, man. Fucking Jim Cheung's a good artist, and the guy who's writing it's fucking good. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. And I was pleasantly surprised then, and definitely rekindled love for it once again when Badr held a gun to my head and told me to read this for the show today.
It's for the podcast.
So the original run was 12 issues with the team, and the series relaunched in 2013 with Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey behind the wheel. The first series, however, introduces the next generation of Avengers, and it's a series that introduces Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, Patriot, Hulkling, Cassie Lang as Stature, and that's a cool last name, and Scarlet Witch's twin boys, Speed and the Asgardian later. He gets renamed to Wiccan. The first couple issues, which we'll be discussing today, tells their first adventure when they were still a mysterious and untested group of teen heroes assembling as Earth's mightiest, which immediately grips the attention of their adult counterparts. So, superhero turned reporter Jessica Jones also shows up in her probably most PG-rated appearance, as opposed to her personal comic Alias, where she personally gets butt-fucked by Luke Cage and says the word fuck a lot. And this movie...
And even the Netflix show is pretty spicy.
Yeah, in this comic, though, you will not... In this comic... Look, Badr's blushing. Badr is blushing.
Pretty spicy.
Spicy
well
stuff.
said.
You do not see any of that in this comic.
No.
Rest assured, this is kid-friendly. So, Badr, don't edit me out.
Not at all, buddy. Thank you. Is this anyone's first time reading this, or maybe even like including the 2013 series? This Ashley, is your first time reading the Young Avengers?
This is my first time reading this. I read the Kieran Gillen one when it came out because I was working at the shop and it had Kid Loki in it.
Oh, of course.
Easy. That's an easy one. For
But this is the first time I have read this.
Okay. And what about like Ed in your comic shop days? Were you working at the comic shop when this title came out?
2005. I wasn't.
Okay.
No, this is a while ago. I was just talking to C about this before. I totally missed this. I knew nothing about the storyline, nothing about these characters. This was one of my multiple absences from reading comics during my life. So yeah, this like early 2000 to mid 2000s, I kind of wasn't really on my radar. So I'd pick up some weird stuff that I like, but like mainstream stuff I was just not into at that time. So this is my first time reading it.
Were you familiar with like anyone from the creative team, like Alan Heinberg or Jim Cheung?
Jim Cheung I'm familiar with, just because I follow his Instagram and I like his artwork. But this is, some of his early stuff, which I missed out on. So like that generation of kind of young artists, I kind of had to rediscover later once they were established. So yeah, I missed out on a lot of this. I was kind of like skip that kind of generation.
So I was in college at this time, and they were so I was like in the graphic novel library. So it was like Sandman, like Little Nemo, stuff like that. They weren't
fucking awesome.
Getting
That's a hell of a range.
That's so cool.
They weren't getting in like Marvel,
Not Finding
monthly
Nemo,
stuff.
Little Nemo.
So yeah, I missed out on all of this.
Hey, Badr, how do you like the Young Avengers? Why are they the best? Yay!
Yo, Badr, what's your familiarity with Alan Heinberg? Yo, see, good question, dude.
None of those words came out.
No, dude, really good.
But
man.
since we're here, Badr, what is your familiarity with the creative team?
Well, one, I don't think.
I didn't know we had to set him up like that. Now,
Jim Cheung. I definitely didn't read this when this first came out. I knew about Jim Cheung well after. I knew him from New Avengers, Illuminati. And then, of course,
So good.
some of the exactly, and some of the bigger stuff like that. If I remember correctly, Drew is the one that introduced me to Young Avengers. He's the one that kind of pushed me to read this series because he was really hype about it. And then I ended up doing some research on Alan Heinberg and found out like this was his first attempt at comic books. Period. Prior to that, he was writing for like OC, Grey's Anatomy, and just a bunch of other TV shows. And if I remember the story correctly, and like 2003, when he was a producer and writer of the OC, the creator of that show allowed him to write comic references into several episodes of the OC using the character Seth Cohen, played by Adam Brody. I think like Seth in the show has he's got a bunch of comics in his room. He's really a big fan of like the Legion of Superheroes and things like that. Well, around that same time, Wizard was writing an article about the comic book references made in the OC, and they ended up reaching out to Alan, and he's gushing over his love of comic books and telling them all about it and stuff. So the article comes out and it catches the attention of Marvel editor at the time, who's now the EIC, CB Cebulski, right? So he reads the article, reaches out to Alan, and he sets up a meeting with him and EIC at the time, Joe Quesada. And they're like, hey man, we really like, your writing. We want to, we're planning this story called Avengers Disassembled, where we're going to break up the team, and we want to do a spin-off series called Young Avengers. We think you'd be perfect for that. So, he's super hyped. This is like his dream, job. But he realizes that, he has no idea how to write, this series. Like, one of the biggest hurdles he had was that, the Marvel universe hadn't really established like teen sidekicks from which to build from. So he focused his pitch and, of course, the story on a team of mostly new characters who all had like an essential tie to the Avengers or their history. And the best part is like they kind of gave him, full creative control. Like, do what you want, like introduce what characters you want. We're going to give you like the best of the best. We'll give you Jim Chung. We'll give you Justin Posner. And you go with it. And it's kind of cool to know that that book won so many, it won a Harvey, it won a GLAAD Media Award. And even like the subsequent series that later came out, even that was, a big deal
This is why no one asks you questions. Because, God, what a mycog this guy is. Am I right? It's almost like he came up with the fucking show. But continue.
Actually, what Young Avenger do you feel like you resonate with the most? Yo, this is Badr. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox Store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
I don't know. I mean, these first three issues, you're kind of still learning. So the first three, it's hard to like pick a favorite. I mean, overall, Kate Bishop is just like such a cool character. So I'd say she's like my favorite.
She rocks up purple from the beginning.
Yeah, she does.
Bridesmaid's dress still on.
Yeah.
I love her banter in relationship with Eli, with Patriot in these first two, like that big sister, like little brother kind of relationship they got. Ed, what about you, man? What Young Avenger resonates with you?
I love Patriot because he's a reference to Isaiah Bradley and the Truth series, which I really liked, and it's cool that he made that canon. If you haven't read the Robert Morales and Kyle Baker's Truth, where, like I said, it's cool to kind of tie into that character. And that's why I liked him, because I was, okay, this guy I know, I know him. So just kind of cool seeing him. And I love the costume design too. It's a really cool looking costume. Yeah,
it's like a good throwback to, because they say what he's wearing, it triggers Captain America because it's supposed to be Bucky's old costume.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of...
There's Bucky, and there's another 40s, I think 40, called the Patriot too. So who was like a news anchor who got inspired by Captain America and kind of put on a costume. So there's even more historical tie-ins there too. So
that's
that's the character I like a lot.
That's cool. What about you, C?
None of those annoying fucking kids. I hated them. I could not. That's how you know Alan Heinberg's a fucking good ass writer, because he writes teenagers so well, so well that they're
and the
annoying.
fact that, like, just to go back in that, and just the fact I didn't like how until I got the reveal, like, man, this guy's really being played as just like a douchebag.
He's a doucher.
Yeah,
right.
and it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yep.
I get
Yeah.
it. Then because at first I didn't like him, but then when they did the Isaiah Bradley reveal, I was like, okay, gotcha.
I think my guy is Iron Lad. Only because he's got more AKAs than we have on this show. Like, this dude is so many.
Kid Kang.
Yeah, exactly. Like Iron Lad, Kid Kang.
He's like a rapper.
Yeah.
He's about to drop the fucking firest album ever, and it hasn't even happened. It's in the 30th century.
I know.
Yeah, he's like the MF Doom of
He's like,
got
yo, I
like
went to
7
fucking-
different
Go back in
personas.
time.
I went
Steal
back in
someone's-
time and fucking dropped that Apocalypse album.
He's going to go to the future and steal some beats.
Yeah.
Right. From himself.
From himself.
Well, in the later series, he ends up becoming like the Young Vision, Kid Immortus, and then eventually just regular old Kang. But I thought using him as kind of like the central piece to combine all of these various characters into one team was pretty cool, because he's essentially running away from his destiny, to become Kang.
It ties also. It creates a very real tie to like classic Avengers. Like, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been like issue number 6 when Kang first shows up. Like OG Avengers. It's early on. It's really early.
Okay.
Like Stan and Jack shit. That's what I'm talking about. Like really early. And you're like, who's this weird ass dude with like a blue like helmet, but it's also his
weird
face.
Yeah.
Like, it's creepy as shit. And then like you see like, oh fuck, he's going to end up being a bad guy in the Marvel universe that has made everybody's life hell. Mm-hmm. And this poor kid is like, I don't want that though. Like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like he literally goes through anything and everything possible up to, spoilers, killing himself.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Like,
and it's great because, like, when he's trying to convince him before he got basically his throat cut on his road, he's like, oh, these Avengers guys kicked your asses all over time.
Yeah.
Like, well, we can go back and fix that.
He said Kang was like, oh, the Avengers, they were mere sports.
It's like, it seems to, it's like they seem to be kicking your ass on every timeline here you're presenting. And it's like, well, we can go. Come on, we got a time machine, man. We can fix that.
awesome.
When they show that future scene of Kid Kang in the future getting beat up by the bullies, I was like, damn, is that what they rock in the where's he at, in the 13th century or some shit?
Yeah.
Where
30th.
Yeah, the 30th. Thank you. I was like, that's what they rock in the 30th century in middle school, like sweet Reservoir Dog.
Hitman.
Suits and shit.
Yeah, and they don't wear Nike Dunks. They got fucking triangles that fit on their feet that they just float everywhere with.
Yeah.
Very formal future.
Speaking about Alan Heinberg and this being his first attempt at writing a comic book, I've got a question for you. But first, I want to go on a quick commercial break. Let's go ahead and share some words about our sponsor, Gotham City Limit. Hey, Shortbox Nation. Sorry for the interruption, but we want to talk about one of our favorite comic shops that happens to be a proud sponsor of this here podcast.
You talking about Gotham City Limits?
Whoa, Batman, what are you doing here?
It's just me, Badr at sea. I've got laryngitis, but you know what doesn't have laryngitis? Jacksonville's premier location for comic books, collectibles, toys, and more.
Oh, and don't forget, Pool customers get 10% off their comics.
Shut up, I'm talking now, punk. Gotham City Limits offers free bags and boards.
And 20% off trades and hardcovers.
I don't need a Robin for this ad spot.
But Batman, you're forgetting about the most important part about Gotham City Limit. It's a comic shop welcome to everyone, for the diehard collectors and the new fans.
I told you I'm not Batman, but have Alfred get the car ready. I'm rich, so it's on me. We're going to Gotham City Limits to spend some money on comics.
See?
Don't you ever fucking toss to a commercial before you ask me a question. How dare you, sir?
Before we get your opinion,
how dare you?
Let's go to commercial.
Yeah.
Money first, but then see after. Money first.
See, what would you grade Alan Heinberg's first attempt at writing comics? And based on these issues that we've read, what are 3 things that you feel that he did right and you'd give him credit for, whether it's like a character development or like a moment or plot point?
So I would grade it's crazy that this is his first attempt, but it's obviously not his first attempt at writing characters. He's good at writing. I think he's good at writing likable people. I don't know if I don't know if you remember Pat Greeny from The Wing when we were in the military. He's the one that turned me on to Gilmore Girls, and I was like, man, get out of here with that. And he's like, honestly, man, it's pretty good. Like, I can't tell you why. I just like it. And I was like, all right. And I watched like the first 7 episodes and I was like, this ain't bad. And if it only gets better, I can see why people enjoy the show. That said, he writes very realistic teenagers. I know we were only supposed to read the first 3, but I read the first 6 when it came out in trade a while back. And it only gets more like, like it hurts you. Like you're like, damn, oh man, like it's so coming of age without trying to be. So I'd say one of the things he's good at is writing kids with a voice that doesn't sound like a 50-year-old man.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
Wrote kids. The second thing I would say is he must either have someone on his staff or he must be a fan of Marvel to know that, one, Kang is a great connection to OG Avengers and these young Avengers, right? Awesome. And then to make one of these kids, again, spoilers, the very villain they end up fighting. It's kind of like, what's more coming of age than finding out who you are and maybe running away from that or accepting who you are? That's brilliant. Like it works on multiple levels. And the third thing is, I don't know how much he had to do with visuals, but the idea of making them like, look, we started out like wanting to be the quote unquote young Avengers, but by the end, it's like, we got our own costumes. We got our own identities. We got our own characterization. We know who we are. We're not those older guys. Like we're not those dudes. And that's something else, like getting comfortable in your own skin. He is, I know he's openly gay. And at the time he wrote, Marvel has always been fairly progressive regarding those issues. Wiccan and Hulkling are portrayed in a very real way, like not in a like, guess what, we're gay, like it's like no, like
not like a rip torn,
right? Like exactly,
yeah.
It's fabulous. They're written like just a regular ass couple, like it's like no big deal. Like,
and you get little winks like in those first 3 issues, but it's not like hit you over the head,
right? Like they're in a relationship.
Accept them. They are gay. Accept them.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah.
It's something that I think he shines, and the comic is better for it.
And reading these young, it's like this is stuff that they, for some reason, have not been successfully able to do recent history.
Sure,
a lot of the younger characters they're trying to introduce, because it does feel forced at times, and this feels a lot more natural. It's like, get this guy involved for the new stuff.
This guy would have been in his late 30s, early 40s writing this stuff, right? Yeah. He's far from a teenager, right? And already successful as a show writer. I think he did a great job.
But it makes sense why they would win the GLAAD Media Award for this comic book series. And for anyone that's not familiar with the GLAAD Media Award, it's an accolade bestowed by the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. And it's to recognize and honor various branches of the media for their outstanding representation of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community and the issues that affect their lives. So I
think Billy Crystal won a GLAAD for his portrayal in Soap. It's an old reference right there, but
contemporary reference.
Yeah, if you
Soap is
Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc. won a GLAAD award.
Soap is
there. You go.
Way ahead of its time.
Yeah,
it came out. Yeah,
and another thing I'll give him credit to, and Ed kind of alluded to this earlier, was that the characters that he ends up working with, it's I think we can all agree Marvel has never really prioritized the idea of sidekicks per se. I mean, I think Runaways precedes this series by a couple of years, or not too long. There's not a giant gap. But I think Young Avengers, in my opinion, took off a little better.
Yeah. It's the Goonies, man. This is like, all right. All of us here have read comics. We understand that the sidekick was created to sell comic books, right?
For the kids to relate to,
right? Yeah. But now we're living in a post sidekick world essentially, and you have these kids, and it's like they're acknowledging that it's dangerous to put on a fucking costume and go and punch time-traveling evil villains in the face.
It's funny
they could die.
What, James J. Jonah says in that first few pages.
Right.
It's like, I wanted to be Bucky. I was serve. And then Cap
he
got him
died.
killed.
Yeah.
No, he says
that's right. Cap got
him killed, so he's putting it on Captain America.
It is on Captain America.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, then that totally, I didn't want to do this anymore.
Right.
There's consequences.
It's really cool because like the comic. That's another man. This guy knows what he's doing when he wrote. Yeah. He doesn't insult your intelligence. Like he doesn't say, "Here are these sidekicks and enjoy their comedic romps and adventures throughout time and space." And you're like, where they constantly mention, "My mom is going to kill me. My dad is going to kill me. Oh my god, if my parents find out." Like it's like, oh yeah, you don't really think about like mom and dad. Like it's
Yeah, 'cause they
nighttime and they got to go
threatened calling
back
their
home.
parents This whole first
Right.
Yeah.
2 issues, 3 issues.
Right.
And the way he includes like minor characters that don't really have a direct connection, but like a loose thread, and makes it all work. Like you said, like Eli Bradley, you know, being related to Isaiah Bradley off this very obscure miniseries about the first, you know, Black Captain America. And then like he includes Cassie Lang, you know, the daughter of
Scott Lang.
Scott Lang. Thank you so much. It just, he makes it work. And kudos to you know, Joe Quesada and CB Cebulski for thinking outside the box and bringing in like literally like a new set of like fresh talent, you know, someone that hasn't written comic books, but makes sense. You know, it's like we're doing a series about like teen superheroes. Why not get one of the best writers of, you know, a teen kind of based dramas? You know, the OC at the time was, you know, major. I don't think I've ever watched it, but I know that it was, you know, a big deal.
Lies.
Oh, Adam
You were
Brody.
fucking like California, here we come.
I know that was one at that time. I was like, this is kind of too white for me to watch. It was like, I don't know. Rich people with problems, not interested. Oh no. I'm only getting a Ferrari for my 16th birthday.
How dare you, Cynthia? How dare
I wanted
you?
a Lamborghini. Oh.
So Ed, I want to talk about the art for a bit. If a first-time comic reader was trying to understand what makes Jim Cheung such a well-respected name among comic artists, what would you highlight from his artwork in this series to help the untrained eye maybe understand a little better?
Like I said, we were talking about this earlier. It's like his work is super clean, but you can see his influences, but they're not blatant. So I can see, looking at his stuff, and even his stuff now, you can see like the Art Adams influence. You can see a little Jim Lee in there.
Oh, for sure.
You can see the Chris Bocciolo, you know, and it's like like we were talking earlier, like a lot of the stuff, and I know this is a first time writer and it's a lot of dialogue, and it was common in a lot of in the 90s, early 2000s, where there's a lot of talking heads. And there's a lot of these weird, long, rectangular panels that cut off this awesome artwork.
Looking at you, Miller.
Yeah, so it's...
Looking at you, fucking McFarlane.
But even this one, it's like 2 heads, and then even closer of their heads still talking. But once you go back, and he's one of the better artists I've seen do like group shots, and then multiple characters interacting in a scene. Like I said, and like once you see some more of his splash pages, once the panels start opening up after that first issue, it's beautiful work. Because like the first one was like, okay, this is like just talking heads for like pages and pages. But then once you start breaking through, you see kind of the splash pages. One of my favorite pages is Kang and Kid Kang going over the memories, and it has like the flashbacks around in like that purple hue because of his colors scheme. That's beautiful. So like I said, his work is super clean. Like I said, check out his Instagram. He's been posting a lot of like portrait sketches, and you can see all his line work before like the inking and the coloring kind of takes that away. But you can see like the Genesis work. But he's a really clean, perfect artist for kind of that mainstream superhero books. He's like the guy.
That was really well said.
Yeah.
What about you, Ash? What you think about the art or even the colors? Because Justin Posner does the artwork. Rest in peace to him, because he passed away back in 2019, and he ends up being one of my favorite like colorists. So he's one of those colorists that you kind of forget that he's on a book until like after the fact. You're like, man, that artwork is fantastic. Who did the colors?
He's like one of those
Fucking
guys.
Justin.
To me, it's like, man, this guy's good, and I didn't associate a name with him until way later.
Agreed. Ashley, what do you think about the artwork?
Well, I mean, the coloring work's amazing. As far as the artwork goes, it doesn't really stand out. Like, there's nothing particularly that like excites me about it. It's just solid. It's just really good. Like, he draws better than I'll ever be able to draw. But I look at that, and just nothing really like, you know, stands out to me. It's just well done.
Yeah.
I will say something I'll credit Jim Cheung is that he kind of made these characters like his own, because it was a pleasure to read Avengers Children's Crusade, which comes out a few years after this initial run, and it features, you know, the original creative team. So Alan Heinberg comes back to do the art, to write the story. Jim Cheung does the full 12 issues, and having Jim Cheung do anything larger or a series longer than, you know, 12 issues is kind of unprecedented now. He doesn't really do much interior work. It might be like a one issue here or a one off or a special, but during this time, you know, the mid 2000s to early 2010s, he, I think, was very selective on what he worked with, you know, or what he did for longer issues. But that's why when I see that I think that's why I was kind of hesitant to pick up that 2013 series, because Jim Chung did such a good job in this initial run and Children's Crusades of making a certain look and feel for Young Avengers. Seeing Jamie, what's it,
McKelvey?
McKelvey.
Jamie McKelvey, yeah.
It was a little, it threw me off at first, and the switch up too. I was like, man, this isn't the Young Avengers that I knew,
I think Jamie McKelvey did a really good job at making them look like kids to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, you might remember that panel with Stature where she's like the first time she gets huge and like
Right.
her clothes are ripped and you're like, oh, she's wearing lace underwear. Like,
That,
dude, she's 14 years old.
I wasn't sure if I should say that or not, especially after all the awards this thing has won.
Yeah.
But that was like, that really struck me too. It's like, she just said she was 14. And that's kind of like a flow over from like that 90s, 90s style where, you're
It's
trying to get sexy, but she's wearing like,
No, you're right. It made me feel weird.
No,
like
it's
when I
just
was
like-
reading it, I was like, oh,
and I was
what?
gonna like, should I say this? Because if I said it, because oh god, there's Uncle Creepy again. It's like I was like, I'm glad you brought it up because that really like it wasn't take me out, but it was like, is that kind of unnecessary?
Weird.
That's
It's a little weird.
little
Like
unnecessary.
I don't want to think about minors having sex.
Because at least like Gen 13, they're all like in their adults. We were like 19, 20-year-old kids.
How does this comic stack up against other comics that also debuted that year? So issue 1 of Young Avengers debuted April 2005. In 2005, we had House of M, number 1, Daredevil versus Punisher, the Marvel Knights series,
Good.
Batman Dark Detective, Great Lakes Avengers, which I didn't know Dan Slide did. Great Lakes Avengers, number 1, also debuted, Hunter Killer and Apocalypse Nerd. I think Hunter Killer from Dark Horse, Apocalypse Nerd from Image. But how do you think this stacks up to some of those titles that debuted?
I mean, I think it's right up there. As far as the other ones are concerned, I'm not familiar too much with. I know if I'm not mistaken, I think Dark Detective had a cover by Marshall Rogers. There we go, with Joker kind of pointing. And anytime Marshall Rogers draws the Joker, it's terrifying. It's like scary as Brian Bolland's Joker. But that said, I would say, based on my knowledge, House of M and this Young Avengers run are probably not only equally ranked, but good companion pieces for each other, because one of them deals with the mom and one of them deals with the kid, technically, right? You've got a story that revolves around Wanda dealing with the grief of how much pain she's had in her life, essentially with her kids tying into it. And then you have Young Avengers where like her kids show up in this weird sort of twist of reality somehow. So I'd say they're equally matched and like a good meat and potatoes on your plate.
Really well said. Yeah, damn. And I mean, the Marshall Rogers
that fucking
call
Joker
out,
is scary, dude.
really good.
He's my favorite next to Brian Bolland, who draws the Joker.
Ed, what would you go ahead and grade this comic book series? Thinking about some of the other comic book series that we've spotlighted in the last couple of episodes, how would you grade this one?
This would have to be like high B, A for sure. Like I said, it's one of these books where if you just showed me like the cover and like told me, oh, this is Young Avengers, I'm like, get that out of my face. I don't want to read this. Get out of here.
It's what I did the first time.
Like, but it really surprised me. And it's like I said, it's just, and then once you get into it, you appreciate. And it's like for me, and the artists I've always liked the more eccentric artists. So I'd never, the people who are just, solid draftsmen, now at this point I can go back and really appreciate them more. Now, how good they are, rather than just like the wilder artists like a Sienkiewicz or Sam Keith or Bisley, like the really exaggerated stylistic people. So now it's like I'm going back and kind of, oh, okay, I like this. This is really beautiful artwork, even though it's not super dazzling, but it's just so well done. And you have to just appreciate that craftsmanship. And the writing is, like I said, I didn't know anything about this. So even that Kang reveal at the first issue, I was like, oh shit. Kang? Okay.
That might be my standout moment from the issues we read with that.
And then Kang looks like a real
reveal.
skeevy Tony Stark once he doesn't have the helmet on. He just looks like such a piece of shit, It's like it's awesome. But yeah, like I had no idea of any of these characters. So that Kid Kang reveal, that hooked me on to the next issue. And then like just the origin story. Yeah, it's just I'm gonna essentially read all of them now. So.
Well said. What about you, Ashley? What you gonna grade this?
I'd give it a B. Like I agree with everything that you just said, Ed. It was it was a solid book. I'm glad that I'm glad I read it. I like adding to my Marvel knowledge. But yeah, it was, it was good. I don't know what else to say. There's nothing like particularly like exciting about it that made me really want to read more of this, but I'm glad I read it.
I like the honesty. What about you? See what you're going to grade it.
Man, believe it or not, quit your grinning and drop your linen. I'm giving this an A, man.
Whoa! See, he gives Marvel an A.
I'm saying. I'm giving this an A. I really was taken by surprise by this comic book, and it was one that I was reluctant to read and foolish to be so. The fundamentals, as far as Jim Cheung's art, he's got amazing fundamentals, and just the story was so good. And I read it again like this morning, man. Like I was like, damn it, man, this is good. Like Sarah was sitting next to me and she heard like audible, oh man, like one of those like, oh man, that's so sad. That's so sad. I feel so, these kids. And so.
Yeah. I'll chime in too and say
no one cares.
Oh!
And that's the end of our show, folks. If you'd like to help with my self-esteem and feel free to send, kind words and words of encouragement to badr@gmail.com. I'll give this a high B because just kind of like knowing like, this is Marvel's attempt at like kind of bringing in or ushering in like a cast of like new, younger characters. And it worked pretty well. They were smart to bring Alan Heinberg on. Jim Cheung absolutely does the damn thing on the artwork. These characters are fun. And it's cool to see that they actually like continued on, like I think we've all kind of seen Marvel try their attempt at like bringing in like a fresh crop of like young characters. And they just tend to not go anywhere. But I really think they hit something with this ensemble of characters.
Yeah, this was presented where, okay, I get this.
Yeah.
Where it's, like I said earlier, it's just like some of the new characters, they're putting them in the main book. So it's like people get upset because like, no, this isn't the new Iron Man. This is, but this is a great way to introduce a new generation of younger characters and newer characters to play with without upsetting a lot of people. Because I think the way this presented, I don't know back how people reacted to it, but they weren't replacing anybody. It was the Avengers are disbanded and these guys stepped up
for sure. And I love that they were able to build off of like stories like Avengers Disassembled and House of M and including Wanda's kids that were from like a very crazy ass story. Like they were able to make something out of those characters.
Like if eagle-eyed Marvel fans will remember that Wanda's children aren't really technically children. They're shards. They're like shards of demonic glass that had sentience and somehow morphed into
Please do that, WandaVision.
Right? Oh man, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah.
There's theories that blonde girl is Mephisto, the one at the party, the snooty, because she's kind of in charge.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
There's that line that's like the devil's in the details, and Agnes.
Yeah,
that's not the only place. So that's like
pretty
a little
cool.
And seeing as because Kate Bishop is, I forget who they casted as Kate Bishop, but for the Hawkeye series that's coming out on Disney or on Disney Plus, but to see her, or because she's introduced in this story arc too, and to see like how big of a character that she's become and like a fan favorite, and hell, I think Ashley wasn't like one of your year-end titles that you highlighted the Hawkeye. Or the Hawkeye series with Kate Bishop.
Yeah, it was a really good series.
Yeah. Like, so yeah, I definitely recommend this. And it's such an easy book to kind of get into. I mean, if you read Avengers Disassembled, then it definitely helps you understand what the situation is with the Avengers, why these kids are able to kind of rise to the occasion and take that mantle. But you don't really need to read anything else. Like, it's a very good.
Pretty standalone.
Yeah, self-contained. And the first 6 issues do a good job of setting it up, but man, the rest of the series, because it's only 12 issues, it really picks up, and they do some really cool things with it. So I think that is all we've got to say about it. I want to turn to our listeners and ask, what do you guys think? Have you read any of the Young Avengers comics? Do you have a thought or comment that you want to chime in? Man, let us know. Join the convo by sending us a short email to our inbox, theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. If you're interested in more Young Avenger comics, might I recommend the Young Avengers Children's Crusade event by this original creative team, or any of the crossovers where the Young Avengers teamed up with the Runaways. They had crossovers that spun out of like Civil War and Secret Invasion as well.
Their appearances in Civil War have always been my favorite.
Oh, really? That's cool.
That's the famous dialogue between Spider-Man and Patriot, where they talk about the Punisher comparing them to Captain America, and like like, man, Punisher's really crazy. And, Spider-Man's like, what are you talking about? Him and Cap are the same person, just different wars.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Well said,
Did anyone think it was weird when like Iron Man and Captain America were like kind of bro hugging, floating in the air, talking to him?
He was
And
carrying
I was like, and he was just with one hand. That kind of like was like, and then they fly off together, and I'm like, are these guys together? What's going on here? it was just so awkward, like him just holding him with one hand. But
That's funny.
other than that, it's great.
All right, I'd like to go ahead and go on music break, and since KLA, good friend of the show and one half of our music team, since he
Is it still
influenced.
KLA?
Oh man, that's
You
right.
son
Never
of a
mind.
bitch. Now, see, KLA just rolls off the tongue.
It does. It does.
Tell
better-
Parrish, Alan
What's
Fresh.
his new? What's his Alan? What's
Alan
his name?
Fresh.
Alan Fresh. KLA is better. He can use both, right?
Yeah, you
There's
can.
no
Yeah, you
rules.
can. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Kid Immortus, no one's using that right now.
Stupid.
Kid Kang.
Well, look,
Kid Kang.
since our boy Parrish influenced one of my champion picks, I'll play a track by him, one that he made for the second volume of the Shortbox mixtape. It's called 90 on a Highway 90. Enjoy the music, and when we get back, we'll talk about some new comics and give you some new recommendations to try out. So stay tuned. All right, patrons.
Nope.
Oh,
Too late.
boy.
Give us your money. Now they have to pay us.
You have to pay for the second half.
All right, listeners, welcome back. Once again, that was music by
Insert
our
coin.
boy Greg Parrish, a.k.a. KLA, a.k.a. Alan Fresh. And that was called 90 on Highway 90. That's a track on Shortbox Mixtape Volume 2. So normally this is the part where I would read some emails, but we're going to postpone some emails because we have some important housekeeping item to get out the way, man. I put up a poll for our Patreon subscribers asking them, hey, who do you want to see get the spotlight treatment for our next Artist Spotlight episode? The theme, which Ed, you were responsible for this
Don't blame me.
go around. No, it was a good theme. It was a good theme. You said, hey, why not have them pick from really iconic and dope British comic book artists? So the poll includes, Brian Bolland, Simon Bisley, Steve Dillon, and Dave Gibbons. And we're at a tiebreaker, which I think this is the first tiebreaker when it comes to our Artist Spotlight polls, which means it kind of comes to us for the final vote. Here's the results so far. As at the end of the poll, the results are this way: Brian Bolland and Dave Gibbons are tied with 30% of the votes. Steve Dillon right behind them with 23%, and Simon Bisley rounded it out with 15% of the votes. So we've got to pick on behalf of our Patreon subscribers. Between Brian Bolland and Dave Gibbons.
It's Bolland.
Yeah, Bolland gets my vote.
Yeah.
That sounds
I
like
think
two.
it's unanimous. Bolland.
Well, Ashley, don't feel pressured. Don't
Yeah,
feel
no
pressured.
pressure, no
I mean,
pressure.
you're on the
Doesn't
mic.
matter what I say.
True, that is.
It's
But the
democracy.
people want to know.
Say it.
Say it. Say it.
All right. Let's do Brian Bolland.
She's like, I hate
Knew it.
all of you.
All right, but in all honesty,
Dave Gibbons.
it would have been Dave Gibbons.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm used to not getting what I want. Sorry.
Christmas party.
No, she is the Christmas
you're
party,
right,
dum-dum.
Okay. Well, we'll figure something else out. Not to invite.
No, you're not invited to the Christmas party. Ashley, you can keep coming.
Yeah.
Devil, you can stay. Ashley,
She brings the moonshine.
you talking about butter? Just your ass bring eloquent. That's not a fucking word. Eloquent cookies and
Yeah.
fucking delicious.
Scratch off.
No more water for you. Yo, he's cut off from the water. All right.
Yeah. Butter's
she
like,
brought
hey,
scratch-offs
these
last
cocktail weenies
Not
ain't free.
today, Satan. All right, folks. So you got it. You can expect Brian Bolland as our topic for our next Artist Spotlight. That should
Unanimous.
Hold on, we've got a celebrity phone call coming in. Oh,
I
it's
hate
Brian
this.
Bolland himself. Oh, thank you for making me your pick. I'm British.
Does he sound like that? That'd be
Why don't you ask him? He's right here.
Oh,
in the
hey,
studio.
Brian.
Hello, Ed. I've been a fan of your work.
Oh, you're a
for
fan of me?
Tons of work. Actually,
What an honor.
not so much. Thank you for not choosing me. Butter,
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Yeah.
Don't ever come to the Christmas party.
All right.
Ever.
All right, so you can expect that Artist Spotlight episode to drop sometime in probably late February. I think late February, early March is when you can expect our Artist Spotlight episode on Brian Bolland. And if you're not familiar with our Artist Spotlight series, I'm gonna go ahead and go on a confident.
We put our dancing shoes on for those
Damn
episodes.
right. I was
guys.
just about to say.
But normally it's not. It's normally dick
Serious
jokes
business.
and oh god damn it, Badr. How dare you? Don't ever step on my copy again. No, I mean I think it's safe to say that our Artist Spotlight episodes we wear our dress clothes and fucking bring our A game.
Event.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said, Ed. Well said. So,
not me though. You son of a.
no, I
just said
well said, Ed and Cesar. Okay, I knew it would be fun announcing the winner, but not that much fun. That's good. All right, how about we go ahead and talk about some new comics we've read this week in our latest No Comic Shop for Old Men segment.
No comic shop for old men.
All right, now, so No Comic Shop for Old Men, new segment. So we get a chance to highlight one new comic we've each read in the last week, and we try to find innovative, quote unquote, ways to one up each other.
All right. Let's do it. Wait. Let's do it like we did last week. Come on. We're gonna do the paper rock scissors again for no reason because there are no stakes involved. So on the count of three,
all right,
everybody say at the same time what they read.
This
all right.
sounds terrible.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Ready?
1, 2. Phantom Starkiller. I win. I'm better than all of you.
Goodness gracious.
I'm better than you.
Still needs to work on this segment.
I'm better than you.
Ashley, would you be so kind to properly and professionally talk about your new comic book pick of the week?
Okay, so I'm still on this future state kick because they're only doing like
So mainstream.
I know, right? And
Future
DC.
What is happening?
It's like
Sell
one or
out.
two issues, and so they make it so accessible to just read a whole story. And I'm spending more money at the shop than I usually am, but I feel like I'm saving money because I'm like, oh, this
The
is only
commitment,
like
low commitment.
low commitment.
Yeah.
So they're getting me. They're really getting me. I just read the Catwoman. It came out last week, but I just read it. It is so good.
Who did it?
Otto Schmidt did the artwork.
Oh, he's so good.
He's
He's fantastic.
amazing. I didn't write down who wrote it, but Ram V. I'm just guessing because he's writing like so much of this stuff.
Yeah, he wrote the Swamp Thing one, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
he wrote so much of it.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, my phone's on airplane mode, so I'm trying to be professional. I don't want to check, but it's
Someone
like,
has to be.
it's like this train heist issue, and his artwork is so good. And I feel like he's kind of leaning more towards his like illustrative side versus his like comic booky side.
Yeah.
And just the whole thing is really good. And the best part is that it's only 2 issues.
I'll have to get
That's
that.
it. The
And
whole
you-
story.
And you called it too, by the way. It is Ram V.
Is it? Yeah, he's
doing
writing like
everything.
half
Ram
of
V.
this stuff.
What's his name? Is that just his? Does anyone know his like actual name? Government?
I don't know.
Ram V.
I ain't gonna lie. When I read, I was like, Ram 5.
Ram 5. It might be Ram 5.
No. But
Might be.
that's a good pick, and that was a really good way of breaking it down. That's how I felt about Swamp Thing when I found it was only 2 issues. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm definitely picking up issue
Might
2.
as well buy it, yeah.
Yeah, well said. Ed, what new comic you got today?
This is, I'm going to use Ashley's rule of it's still on the shelf. So it's been out since I think the end of
turn of
December.
events.
But it is the Vault Comics. It is called The Picture of Everything Else. And it is written by Dan Waters, and the art is Kishori Mohan, I think. I don't know. But it's a really cool, like I said, the style is like a watercolor, cartoony style. I'll pass it to class and take a look. But the concept was really cool. So basically, it's a couple of young, struggling artists in, like, I think Paris around the turn of the century, 1899, 1900. And they basically kind of just try to crash these rich folks' parties and stuff. But they're friends with some of these kind of aristocratic people. They're trying to get into that, that social crowd. And one of the people that he knew, they're talking in a studio, and he basically just gets ripped in half. Like, he just rips in half. And there's been all these kind of grisly murders around Paris at this time, and no one can explain it, but it's all like aristocratic, rich, the rich people. And so they end up running into this artist who is the artist that painted the portrait of Dorian Gray.
Oh, nice.
So, but now, instead of doing the, where he's making someone immortal, he can paint And then whatever he does to that painting of the person happens to them in real life.
Oh, shit.
So if he rips the painting in half, the guy rips in half. If he sets it on fire, the guy just bursts into flames. So one of the main characters here is going to be his new apprentice. And like I said, that's kind of where it stops in issue 1. So that premise is really cool.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yeah. So, and it's like I said, it's cartoony. It's there's a little violence in it, but it's like I said, it's not, like Luther Strode violence. So, but I think it's really well illustrated as a cool look. And I really, the concept of it got me.
You know what that art kind of reminds me of a little bit? Like Dustin Nguyen, like his watercolor stuff.
I was going to say, it gives me is it Kevin O'Neill? Who did a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Yeah.
Kind of gives me that sort of vibe.
Without all the little weird cretins in the background.
Right.
Weird toothless guys.
Well said. A good pick, Ed. Good pick.
I go.
See, what about you, man? What new comic you got?
I got something really, really weird and independent called Phantom Starkiller. And it's fucking weird. It's basically if you took Skeletor and Vader and mushed them together and just basically... It feels like a comic book that Danzig would read.
Nice.
So it's literally just a bad guy with a lightsaber murking people. Like that's I had to find a good picture of the art and like that's
I've seen it. I haven't picked it up.
It's fucking gnarly. Cool. And I think these guys
even has
are
a
like
little Vader.
Oh, he's got the chest box for sure. Box. Yeah, I think these homeboys are from like Fort Lauderdale too. I might be mistaken. But yeah, it's when I went down to Walt's comic book shop, the shop he frequents, the guy at the counter turned me on to it, along with Batman, Catwoman, and he's like, "This is freaking weird, and the art's really good. It looks like a creepy, It's basic, man. How do I describe it? It's like Alex Toth and Bernie Wrightson like mushed together.
Oh wow!
And like it gets that lizard part of your brain like right away. Like you're like. As soon as you open the first page, it's like like Meshuggah's fucking Bleed should be playing, you know, like like the whole time, and then like as soon as the comic book is done, that music stops. You're like, fuck, that shit was good. I hope they come out with more of these.
Starkiller was like the Skywalker's original,
right. And it's a little one shot, so they're not going to do any more. But I hope they come to their senses and do more shit like this.
Badass. That looks cool. The new comic that I'm picking this week is Batman Black and White #2. This one,
that's good.
I don't know how they're going to top the rest of this series because I felt like this issue had some A+ all-stars on it. I mean, you had a story by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. You had Gabriel Hardman on it. David Aja makes his... I didn't know that he had never worked with DC before. This was apparently his first... DC story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty rad. So he writes and draws it. And I have a feeling that his story is going to continue in some capacity. Because it ends in such a... It doesn't really like close things out. I have a feeling they're going to continue that, especially knowing that this is his first DC debut. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him, kind of broke the rule of this being like an anthology and giving him more. And for anyone listening that isn't aware of the Batman Black and White series, it is a long-standing... incredible just Batman anthology comic book that features 5 or 6 stories by various creators in one comic book. DC recently relaunched it. I think issue 1 came out last year.
Yeah, December,
yeah, and it's not part of their DC Black Label book, but boy, is it expensive like a fucking DC Black Label book. That thing is $5.99.
Dude, some of the Future State stuff's like $8.
Yeah, you do got a point there.
Jesus.
But let's see. Sophie Campbell from like Jim and the Holograms, TMNT, and Wet Moon. She returns to DC in this in this issue after like a 10-year hiatus to do a Batman and Catwoman story. And then Dustin Weaver, he makes his DC debut in this comic book too. So it's like, it's a lot. It's a really well stacked. And I can't really point out like any weak story in it. Like all of them are spectacular. The Tom King and Mitch Gerads one is really good. Like, that shit was pulling at my heartstring reading it. And it's only like 4 pages, Yeah,
and then there's 2 other volumes because I think they started that in the late 90s,
yes.
maybe?
Yeah.
So there's 2 volumes and they've got guys like, Richard Corbin, Katsushiro Tomo does a story, which is crazy.
Yeah, that OG run is something else too.
Simon Bisley does a pretty crazy story with Neil Gaiman, which is awesome, where it's just like they're basically coming in, and it's a scene, like a show. So like Batman comes in with like a big splash page and then beats up Joker, and they're like talking, they're on break talking. It's like a Looney Tunes thing. It's like you get splash pages. I don't get splash pages. It's like you get to monologue all the time. You get to say all this cool stuff. And they're just going back and forth bickering. But yeah, it's there's 2 volumes too, and I'm glad they brought it back because it's really cool. It's accessible. You don't have to follow all these storylines. It's all 4 or 5 little one shots, different styles. So if you have short attention span,
for sure, and it is. I mean, I think I said last year that what I've been enjoying picking up on a weekly basis is all the anthology comics. So I'd say like this one is probably my favorite anthology one. Marvel being second, and then the Wolverine, red, white, and black, white, and red, or whatever it's called. That's another really good one pick up too. But
did you see the Treasury Edition they're going to come out with Marvel?
Oh no!
Oh boy! Goodbye, $100.
Yeah, but I'll go ahead and that'll be my pick this week. Is Batman Black and White #2 is spectacular. Yeah, just be prepared to shell out a couple bucks for that one.
Hey, good job, everyone.
Yeah, really good job.
Good job. I'm glad I won.
These guys went mainstream.
So that was our new no comic shop for old men. So that's that's our new comic book talk, and it's time to go and wrap up this.
Quit trying to put it in a box, man. Just let it be. Why are you hung up on labels?
Now it's time to go ahead and jump into our last segment of the show, our opportunity to go ahead and talk about both new and old things that we want to highlight. That is our champion season. Our champion season segment, for those of you tuning in for the first time, is our opportunity to go around the room and everyone gets a chance to highlight a few things within pop culture, like I said, whether it be new or old, that we feel has really resonated this week, and we want you to check it out.
Wait a second.
Oh.
So then who won the last segment?
Oh.
Who won what segment?
The last segment we did.
No comic shop owner?
Yeah, who won?
It
doesn't matter. Who won? The Rock says, "No, you're damn roll."
I walked
and
into a
shut
door.
your Rudy Poo mouth.
He's so hung up on the winning.
Better than you.
We are in champion season segment, all right?
I can't let it go.
Actually, you know what? See, go to kick us off for champion season, man. What are you going to champion today?
Okay, no problem. I'm going to champion something Boom Studios put out, like a complete old ass man.
First of all, I need you to adjust the way you just said Boom Studios. Put some respect on Boom Studios.
Yeah, he kind of guffawed.
Right. He's like,
I got some Boom. Get this, guys. Boom Studios.
No, you know why you said
What
that?
a shit show.
Do you know why? And you know why you're saying that? Because you're both fucking old.
Yeah,
just like me. Look, Boom Studios is where comic book heads go to die, okay? Boom Studios is like Florida, okay? We're old. We need stuff that makes us feel good. You know who's great? Boom Studios has those IPs that nobody really fucks with, but they get good artists and good writers. Meanwhile, these kids are like, where do I get the new Disney shit? Shut up, old man.
Yeah, you are so stupid sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, it's me. Oh, I'm a 7.
I hung up on Brian Bolland.
No, this is a child. I'm doing a child's voice now. This is I'm a 7-month-old baby. How do I get my hands on Marvel? And we're like, I don't know about Marvel, but Power Rangers has got some good shit coming out. Anyway, I'm gonna champion a RoboCop series that came out in 2017, which is fairly new-ish, and it's fucking amazing. The artwork is good. The story is really good. Like Frank Miller RoboCop good, story-wise. I highly recommend. Like, it's gnarly as shit. It gets really gross.
Because I thought Avatar was doing the RoboCop stuff for a while.
Yeah. This is really nice. It reminds me of like 90s Doug Mankey.
This is great.
Yeah. And see what I'm saying?
Eyeball gets knocked
I got a oh damn from Ashley, so I'm happy. I'm like indie cred restored.
This guy's nuts ripped off.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that deserves its statement.
This is a monster truck. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. So that's gonna be my champion. I fucking love it, and I think the actual run is called Dead or Alive. So classic Even if you don't like RoboCop, man, I think I showed this to you, Badr, before the show, and you were like, awesome. "God damn, this gives me a fucking boner." See, and those are the exact words you said.
That.
Those are the 100% the
it's
truth.
Like Garth Ennis wrote RoboCop.
Yeah, like, like when I showed I showed this to Badr, and he literally took his pants off and masturbated in front of me.
Oh wow!
It was, I mean, I was impressed, but I was like,
aggressive move.
But I was like, Badr, it's just a comic book, and we're friends. This is very weird.
Wait a minute.
So weird.
I want it to go on record that should anything happen to me, I do not want Cesar to write my eulogy or have any words to share at my
wait
funeral.
a second. That conflicts with everything you just said before the show. Hold on. I am Badr, and I want Cesar to write my eulogy. See?
Yeah, I
recorded
guess,
you.
Yeah, I guess you got me there.
I recorded you.
Ed, take it away, man. What are you going to champion?
Okay, well, I'm going to stay on that violent train.
Thank you. Thank God.
Post Americana.
Yo.
Number 2 continues.
That shit was wrong.
To
oh God damn it.
Be insane.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, Steve Scroach.
Is that his name? Scroach?
Scroach.
Okay.
I don't know. Basically, a storyboard artist that has descended from the heavens to do comics for us mortals. As
oh shit.
Who's done Doc Frankenstein? Was one of the lead artists with the Wachowskis in their movies.
So the only artist then.
Yeah. But
okay.
he's him and Jeff Darrow were basically
Jeff Darrow's the other. Okay, yes, that counts.
So this is super violent, post-apocalyptic, just like an 80s, like basically take a Mad Max style movie, which there were a ton of those in the 80s, and just ramp it up to 11 with violence, cannibals, crazy. Like it's just absolute madness. The visuals are incredible. Like if you do like Jeff Darrow and that kind of level of detail, and let's pick this up. It's pretty wild. And then I'm going to go back in time to the New 52.
Oh, shit. Gotta go back in time.
There's some good stuff, guys.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm going to recommend, I picked this up at Chamberlain's just on a whim, Frankenstein, Agent of Shade, by Jeff Lemire and Alberto Ponticelli.
Very good.
And like I said, I love this book. It's kind of like, I'm always been a fan of like the Creature Commandos, all the monster characters in Marvel and DC that they've used kind of those universal monsters in their own fashion.
I can see why this scratches your itch.
So this is taking like kind of a concept of Hellboy, where Shade acts as like the supernatural, the government division of, to deal with monsters and supernatural things happening around the world. But take that atmosphere out of Hellboy, but make it into like kind of an action movie.
Give it Rob Zombie's touch.
Yeah. And you can play Rob Zombie while reading it. That's a good pull. The art kind of reminds me of early like Dean Ormsted, the guy that's working with Lemire on Black Hammer. So kind of some of his early like 2000 AD stuff, because this stuff is a lot more refined now. But back in the 90s, this kind of reminds me of his early 2000 AD. He did some stuff for Vertigo, but kind of like a really scratchily, almost like a Bisley intensity to the line work. But cool, fun monsters. There's like Palmer's in it. Ray Palmer is kind of like the normal guy.
That's funny.
Because he basically made this microscopic floating orb base that's above New York. That's where they go. And it's just wild. It's like crazy monsters, lots of action. Like I said, the Creature Commandos, OMAC is in it. Brother Eye. Like, it's basically a D-list character extravaganza if you're into those characters. So
we were just talking about OMAC before the show.
So
those Joel Jones covers look bad.
And they have his color gallery, and there's some beautiful covers in there. So those are my picks.
Damn.
I love when Ed gets to highlight things, because he's always got a show and tell ready. Like it is my favorite part when we get to Ed. Ashley, what about you? What are you on champion today?
Oh man, I just have one, but it's taken up all my time. So I started watching the show Sunday night, and I'm not usually like a binge watch person. Usually at like 9 o'clock, I'm like, all right, I'll watch an episode and go to bed. But at like 6 o'clock, I'm like, hey, we need to start watching this show. And I've watched almost 3 seasons in a week.
It was Cheers. I know, right? Sam and Diane, did they get together?
Supernatural?
No, freaking Cobra Kai.
Oh, I keep hearing about it.
It is so
It's
good.
on Netflix now,
It's
right?
on Netflix,
Okay.
and like the main guy, he's not a good actor.
What,
And it like makes it work. It makes it so much better. It's just so like I'm almost done and I'm upset.
But
about
Ralph Macchio still looks 13 years old.
He does. He does. He still sounds the same. It's so good. I love it. I have like 2
Did they
episodes
CGI
left.
Pat Morita like onto somebody?
Oh no, they deep fake him.
The deep fake him.
And the series, I think it started out as like a YouTube original series.
That's
Yeah.
when
Yeah, it
YouTube
did,
was
yeah.
doing like their YouTube
Yeah.
exclusives.
YouTube Red or
Yeah.
whatever.
What you talking about?
My first time hearing about this was through Ryan Thompson from GAM. He had hit me up. He was like, "Hey man, don't laugh at me, but Cobra Kai on YouTube is pretty legit."
It's because Ryan is a bad guy. He would totally go to Cobra Kai.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
I was
Like, he would be
man.
in a skeleton
He probably has
costume,
a tattoo
punching
of
the
a
shit
cobra.
out of Daniel LaRusso. You know,
I said, man, get your
He's a
old
bullet.
ass out of here.
yeah. Fucking, he always
you'd
goes
love
up,
it.
sweep the leg,
What's
Ryan.
that guy with the ponytail? And is it 2? The slick back hair and the ponytail?
Oh, it's part 3. Terry
part
Silver
three?
is
Yeah, Terry Silver.
the guy's name.
What's been your favorite season so far? Have you finished all 3 seasons yet?
I'm almost done with season 3.
Damn it.
And I never watched the original Karate Kid movies.
What?
But you don't have. Well, it sounds like the first one
Okay,
was good,
Ashley,
and the other ones just kind of went
Oh my
off the
God.
rails.
They're
just
good.
from,
They're
like-
all good.
All of them are good.
Yeah.
They're just flashbacks, and like they mention it, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot. But I don't know if I need to watch them. Maybe just enjoy Cobra Kai.
I watched it when I was very young and impressionable, and I crane kicked my brother in the back right after, 2 minutes after the credits finished rolling, and my dad was like,
Which brother?
never again. I think I kicked Joseph in the back.
Yo.
Like,
Oh, no.
And here's the thing: I didn't learn
explains a
anything.
lot.
I didn't learn anything from the movie because I kicked him while his back was turned like a fucking chump.
You used the crane technique the wrong way,
Yeah.
Butter.
I think my dad
For evil.
I think my dad was like, "Now he gets to crane kick you."
Oh, no. Parenting 101.
I totally believe that's how it went down the Milligan house.
Now you got to give those a shot. Actually, yeah, those are good.
Crane technique.
But that's cool to know that you don't have to watch them. If
Were you in a
choose not
cult
to.
when you were a kid?
I just didn't have a TV for a long time. It felt
Sounds
like
like
a
a cult.
Ashley is like probably the 4th or 5th in a long series of like friends that have talked about how awesome this show is. And
Yeah,
I've been, and I'm like, la 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 la, la la, I don't want to hear it.
care.
But it's like, fuck, man, it's almost like I'm almost there. Like I'm like a beer and a back rub away from binge watching, Cobra Kai.
I got
So
you,
it's
buddy.
like I knew. Oh God,
Some candles?
get your tongue out of my ear, Butter.
Petals? Oh.
Don't. I swear to God.
Please, Badr. This is a visual medium that doesn't translate through the podcast. Also, get your hand off my leg.
Ashley, do you have anything else to champion so I can end the show, please?
That's it.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much. All right.
Oh God, Badr.
I've got 2 things to champion. We need to get video set up. We need to get video fucking set up
don't.
for sure.
No.
All right. First thing I'll champion is the news that Mile Comics has now arrived on the DC Infinite app.
Mile Comics.
Milestone Comics. What the hell? wrong with me? Mile High Comics.
Yeah, you were too busy thinking about my supple body.
I know.
Not sure how that connects, but all right. But I'm sure most of you guys.
The end of the mind.
Actually, do you still have the DC Universe app?
I do.
And you,
Ashley's the only one that has
I've got it. I've got it right here.
Shut, don't you ever fucking contradict me ever again.
With facts. So Ashley, you're aware that they've rebranded completely, like overhauled the app. It's now DC Infinite, right?
Yeah, because I had to re-download it.
Same
Yeah.
here. But
I didn't know that.
So yeah, and I think we've talked on this a few times, but it wasn't until like this month that DC Infinite rolled out. So this is the updated version of DC Universe app. They've kind of streamlined it to where it's just a focus on comic books. So they've beefed up their comic book library. They've kind of moved, like I said, moved all of the cartoons, the animated shows to HBO Max as part of the deal. But one thing that they've included is the very hard to, the long eluded milestone comics. So you've got Static #1, Hardware #1, and even Icon #1. And and the reason I'm championing is because those comic books, one, I don't think I don't want to say ever, but I cannot recall any collection or reprints
They were
of those.
tied up in like litigation.
Yeah,
too, so,
absolutely.
yeah.
It sounds like they've kind of already figured that out, so now they can start rolling it out. So I will say, the DC Infinite app looks really good. It, I think, functions a lot better. And they've implemented that new rule where it's like they're putting new comic books that hit the stands 3 months or on the app 3 months later. So, it's the amount of comics you could read on DC Infinite is crazy. But I will recommend anyone that hasn't read like the Static or Icon series or any of those Milestone comics to give them a shot because they're really good stuff. And there's a really good YouTube video that I think I had championed before where it was like the history of Milestone comics.
Oh, yeah.
And all that. And I highly recommend it. So yeah, check out DC Infinite. Check out Static #1 at the very least. And the other thing I'll champion, like I said, influenced by our good, my good buddy Greg Parrish, aka KLA, aka Alan Fresh, is a YouTube series. It's a channel, Versus WYD. It's this young producer, this young kid. I mean, he literally, graduated from I think high school like a week ago or something. He says it in the video, but the playlist is called Producing Like Kanye. It's 9 videos where he breaks down the production, sound, and stylistic choices of all 9 Kanye West albums in chronological order. And he creates a beat from scratch that would fit the album sonically. And they all sound fucking crazy good. Like, yo, this kid is insanely talented, man. Like, and you could tell like he's having a great time doing it because for starters, each video is like 6, 7, 8 minutes at that, and he plays the full beat at the end. But he's just having it's such a joy to watch like his passion come out because he's got the camera like on his desk, and he's showing you his screen and what he's cutting up and how he's doing the music. And a lot of times I think he forgets there's a camera, and he's like having these really cool like happy, excited reactions. It's a good video, man. If you're into like
he isn't throwing a not ever, like give me something like that. Nothing.
Nah, I think that might be for the next video series. So yeah, all of his music sounds fantastic. His YouTube channel is Versus WYD, and the playlist is Producing Like Kanye. It's a 9 video playlist that goes by really quick. So those are my 2 champions.
What would Yeezy do?
Yeah. Crew, before I let this pre-recorded outro fade in, do you guys have anything to plug or closing remarks you'd like to share with the listeners this week? We are at the end of our show today, man. I've survived with my self-esteem somewhat intact.
We'll fix that.
A lot of defamation from Cesar thrown my way.
It wasn't me. It was Brian Bolland.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I can't believe we're going to do a spotlight on him after everything.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I am too.
So am I. See? Oh, he's back.
He's going to be on the show too.
Can't wait.
Right.
That's great.
Ed, you got any closing remarks? Anything you want to plug?
Just Edbot 5000. Always taking commissions. Let's check it out.
Fantastic. Ashley, if there's any celebrities listening that want to get on that Kevin Rankin level.
I just want to say sorry, Dave Gibbons. I tried.
She didn't really try.
What do you mean? It was a unanimous vote.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? I literally can we rewind the truth tape?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Dave Gibbons called in earlier. Hey, Dave, we've got you here live.
Hello, it's me, Dave Gibbons, and I don't really have a problem with it, absolutely.
Voice. I like it.
I'm a very big fan, actually, of Ashley's work, and if she could draw me a picture, I would love it. It would make up for her lack of backbone as far as supporting me on this fucking show.
Oh.
Also, Badr, don't ever come to the Christmas party. We never like it.
We're definitely not invited. Ashley, you don't remember any of that?
It really happened.
Yeah,
it really happened.
Way too many questions.
It really happened.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Ashley, where can people reach out or stay up to date with what you got going on?
AshleyLanny.com. That's about it.
Fantastic.
Really exciting. Yeah.
She says that.
Come on, hold on.
God
damn it. Wait.
Yeah,
Both you guys suck at this shit.
Hold
on. Look, here we go. Here we go. Let me just tell you right now. Ed, when he championed his the Frankenstein, was it Agent of Shade? I'm looking at the cover right now. Yep. I was like, I can see how this scratches your itch. If you like any of that stuff, if you like horror, if you enjoy cheesecake art, if you enjoy monsters in any sort of way and in a colorful way too, Ed excels at drawing all of that shit. Please fucking
Moderate
get a commission
spice.
from him. See, look, he can't fucking sell stuff even now. I'm just saying. He's having, like I said, I have artwork from both you guys in my house, and it is up on the wall. It's not like hidden somewhere. So
in shame,
right? Like, and that's not. And I would fucking throw shade if I could
in the sock drawer.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything.
Yeah. So, fucking get Ed to do a drawing for you. Get Ashley to fucking do a fucking drawing for you. Like honestly, like
Pet portraits. She loves them.
She can fucking knock the watercolor off anything. It's not even an issue. It's not up for debate. She's a talented artist. Please fucking support.
And what about me? Do me next.
Okay.
Hype me up.
Badr Milligan is a lecherous fiend who enjoys... Hold on, I'm not done. I'm going to bring it back around. He loves grabbing legs, and he doesn't care what gender. And I guess sometimes he's a good friend. Hey, thanks for listening, everyone.
All right, Badr.
That's pretty...
And no, all kidding aside, though, where can they find your shit again?
Edbot5000. I'm mostly active on Instagram, but I'm across all social media.
Ashley?
AshleyLaney.com or AshleyLaneyArt on Instagram.
Yes, give them your fucking money.
And give us some too. Just like a little bit, like $1 or so.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you're right. I lost my mind.
See, closing remarks, man. Anything you want to share, plug?
No, man, this was a good show.
Yeah,
it was tight. We're almost about to get to a minute 30.
Yes.
A minute 30. An hour 30. I don't know time.
Oh, good. All right, folks. This is the end of our show. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Pre-recorded outro is going to come in here in a few. Stay tuned so you can find out what we're covering next. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. Peace. Yo, listeners. Well, you've now reached the end of the show, but the convo doesn't have to stop there. Now it's your turn to chime in and tell us what you thought about this episode. Feel free to share your thoughts on Young Avengers or recommend a new comic book that you think we might enjoy. Give us something to read next episode by sending a short email to our inbox at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com or hit us up on social media. On behalf of the crew, I'm extending my appreciation to our sponsor, Gotham City Limit, and our Patreon subscribers for helping us keep the lights on. If you enjoyed the podcast and you're in a position to contribute $1 or $2 to help us keep this thing going, consider becoming a Patreon subscriber. In exchange for your contributions, we'll reward you with bonus episodes and other cool perks. Visit patreon.com/theshortbox for more information. Thanks again for tuning in this week. And if you decide to come back next week, we'll be talking about House of M, the 2005 Marvel comic series written by Brian Michael Bendis and illustrated by Oliver Coipel. Make sure you subscribe to the show and stay tuned to the podcast feed. And don't forget to follow us on social media for anything else we come up with. In the meantime, have a great week, everyone. And please, continue to make mine and yours Shortbox. And keep it geeky.